Hi, hello, and welcome to another midweek sneak peek. This episode, we are taking a sneak peek into faux freckles. There are many different ways to do faux freckles. So I'm going to show you a few of my favorite ways to enhance my natural freckles, and maybe some tips for you if you don't have natural freckles to make them look more natural on the skin. Let's get into it. Ding ding. Okay, there are a lot of options for faux freckles, and you probably have some already in your collection. So starting on that vein, take your bronzer and take a water. This is just rose water and glycerin. You can also just use a setting spray. You can either scrape some of this out onto an index card or the back of your hand, or you can spray just one little corner. Dip a brush, preferably a really tiny brush. It doesn't have to be like an angled brush like this, but something relatively small. You can use a liner brush too. You can mix your bronzer and a little bit of setting spray or water. Setting spray will last longer. Just create your little random pattern of dots. That way I like to tap over them with my finger so they blend in a little better and they're not so harsh. But this is like the most natural way to create a faux freckle look, so it's going to look cohesive with the rest of your skin because you have already warmed up your skin with the same color. Another thing you might already have in your collection is a brown liner. I like this one in particular from Tower 28. It is the multi-liner in the shade Draw Me, and what I like to do with a pencil is place it on the skin and then twist the pencil, and depending on how sharp or how dull your pencil is how big or small your freckles are going to be. And you always want to go in holding your pencil as far back as you can, because that means you're going to place the lightest pressure. If you want smaller freckles, just go ahead and give that a sharpen. You know, if it's a waterproof pencil, then these are going to stay in place all day long. Another product that you might already have that you can totally use for faux freckles is a liquid eyeshadow. This one is from Half Magic in Magic Brownie. This one's from About Face in Capulets. They have another brown depending on, you know, how deep your skin tone is or what shade you're trying to go for. Add a dollop to the back of your hand and use again a liner brush or an angled brush like I'm using. The purpose of tapping over it and then pressing somewhere else on my skin is you're going to pick up product. So I will show you with a darker color and kind of do a bigger freckle. So if I place it here and then I go in with my ring finger and tap right over it and tap somewhere else, it's going to create another freckle. So I do that all over until basically the product is like no more. So this one is the Magic Brownie color from Half Magic. And depending on how hard you press, if you're using a brush, that's how big your freckle's going to be. When you're doing faux freckles, don't think about, oh, I'm placing it here, here, and here, or you kind of like, it's our natural tendency to do things in a pattern, and you definitely don't want your freckles to be in a pattern, because natural freckles are like, some of mine are naturally just like layered on top of each other. That's why it's also a good idea to use like a liquid shadow like this, because you can use different colors if you're really going for that natural look. Something else you might already have in your collection is an eyebrow pen. And it's kind of the same vein. It's going to look natural on your skin because it's already somewhere else on your face. But these you just have to be very careful with the pressure that you're putting down. Mine is in the shade Blonde, so they're going to be like those old freckles that have faded a little more. The brow pens, especially this one from NYX, are going to be super long lasting for you. You wouldn't even have to go over it with a setting spray or a powder. And I have this freckle product from Pseudo Labs. This is Freckles. I'm in the shade 2. As you can see, water resistant. This is a very thin, watery formula, and it comes on a spoolie like this. Comes with a tool. And the idea here is that you rake the tool across the spoolie and you're essentially splatter painting freckles, which is really going to give you like the ultimate randomized effect. You can do this very thing with an old toothbrush or an old spoolie of yours and the back of a brush. You could go in with that powder bronzer and setting spray mixture, dip a spoolie or an old toothbrush into it and rake it, and that's going to be a way to have this kind of effect with the stuff you might already have in your collection. The only reason I don't reach for this super often is because it can tend to create a lot of teeny tiny little splotches on my face, and maybe that's user error, probably so. Another reason is because it's very messy. You're gonna like need to put a towel over yourself or cover up somehow because it can get you in a messy situation. Moving on to more products that are specifically faux freckles are these kinds of little guys. Lottie London Freckle Tint, which you can find at Ulta. Jason Wu, Jason the Freckled Boy Faux Freckle, which I found at Target. And then from Sephora, which this is the most expensive one, I believe, is Freck. This product in particular kind of kicked off the whole faux freckle trend. And so these all have the same like liquid liner-esque brush. This one from Lottie London in particular is a very warm brown. So if you don't have warm hair, say you have a very cool brown or a cool blonde, this color is not going to be the vibe for you because they're going to look just straight up red on your skin. Also, for deeper complexions, this is not going to show up. The Freckled Boy from Jason Wu, you can see right here where the product is thinned out. It is also very warm toned. So I feel like I'm going to leave that and show you how to fix it. I feel like I can get away with this because I have copper hair. Again, if you have cool toned hair, it's not going to work the best for you, but this one is deeper than the one from Lottie London, so there's a plus. Whenever I make a mistake, I just kind of like scoop it up back onto my hands, wipe them off on a paper towel, and then like press over where the mistake was, and it looks just like, you know, a natural freckle. I know that Freck has a couple of shade options, which is fantastic. Freckled people come in many a skin tone. If you don't have natural freckles that you're kind of going over and enhancing, my best advice for placement is anywhere that you get a sunburn or anywhere that you tan. So think the high points of the face, the forehead, across the nose and the cheeks and in the chin a little bit. Now that I have my freckles applied, what I like to do to ensure that they're not going to move is just take a powder. You can use a loose powder, you can use a pressed powder. I'm using a pressed one today. I'm taking the butt of a beauty blender, and you want to dab straight up and down. Make sure you're not swiping or else you might disturb that beautiful freckle that you just created. And so you can absolutely still see the freckles through, but there's a little more insurance that they're not going to go anywhere. This is also a great technique in case anything got a little too deep. It knocks back the color a little bit for you. But the main thing that you have to do if you do faux freckles and you're wearing blush is you've got to put that blush back on top. You're going to do the same straight up dabbing motion with your blush because freckles come from underneath. Because freckles are on the skin and you put makeup on top. So I always just go over my freckles with either a pressed powder or my blush. And then for extra longevity after you have set them, you can go over them with a setting spray, and that's even more so going to make them look like skin. Powdery texture is going to be knocked back. Even if I'm using a cream blush, I will go over my freckles with that blush. You just have to use very little product in a light hand. That's my little sneak peek into how I, someone who already has natural freckles, enhances my freckles. And if you don't already have freckles, my main tips are place them where the sun would naturally hit you. Forehead, top of the nose, cheekbones, a little on the chin, You're going to want to set with powder or your blush. Go over the blush on the ones on your cheek and set with a setting spray. And don't be too caught up in placement. Just kind of dab, dab, dab. Don't think about if you're overlapping. Natural freckles overlap. It's more mindless than we would probably give it credit for, right? So hopefully I gave you some ideas and tips and tricks on how to incorporate faux freckles into your looks. This is kind of like a crazy moment for me because faux freckles are so popular and they definitely help keep you looking young and fresh. But I know growing up that I was teased a lot for my freckles, so we've done a complete 180, and I am so glad people are finally embracing the beauty of freckles. Let me know if these tips helped you out and how you like to do faux freckles. I appreciate you so much for watching. As always, be blessed and be kind, and we'll speak again soon. Bye!